Welcome, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you're joining us from. I'm pleased to welcome you to another episode of our webinar series, Streamlining Work Management for Competitive Advantage. Today marks episode 4, titled Getting Alignment for People Management. This webinar is brought to you by Nimble, where our mission is to humanize work. As participants are still joining in, let's get started with our agenda. I will start by introducing our speaker. After that, I will provide a brief overview of Nimble for those of you who may not be familiar with us. We will then move on to the main session on getting alignment for people management, followed by an interactive Q&A session where we can learn from your experiences on this important topic. A few housekeeping items. This session is being recorded, and the recording will be made available by email to all registered participants. We will be taking questions using the Q&A box on the Zoom panel. Please enter your questions there, and we will address them either at the end of the session or earlier if possible. Now, let me start with the introductions. Hi, my name is Linsa. I'm the product manager with Thimblework. Joining me today is Mano Cherian. He's a VP of Business Development at Nimble. Mano is probably the most qualified person in the company to talk about all aspects of how our customers implement their work management and project management solutions. He has been deeply involved not only in business development, but also in managing some of our largest projects and consulting engagements, helping our clients improve and succeed in their endeavors. He has extensive knowledge of the business challenges our customers face and the best practices organizations use to manage projects. So Manu will be sharing his insights during his part of the session. So a quick overview of Nimble. We have been pioneers in web-based project and work management solutions for over 2 decades. We are based out of Cupertino, California. We have offices in North America, Europe, and India, and serve over 1 million users worldwide. You can learn more about us by logging in to our website, that is www.nimblework.com. So these are the suite of products that we have. Our product portfolio is comprehensive, covering the entire value stream of work and project management, whether it's starting from strategy with portfolio or OKRs, to execution with project delivery, to managing projects and a regular day-to-day work. We offer solutions for agile, hybrid, traditional project management approaches, as well as tools for continuous improvement like Nimble Retro. Now, let me take a minute to talk about humanized work. Now, with the remote and hybrid working, the human-to-human connection is getting lost. People don't feel connected to their teams, to their work. So we believe in building those human moments, even in the hybrid workspaces. We help teams collaborate effectively and get more work done. With humanized work, we want to connect people to their work. We want to connect people to improve the overall efficiency with engagement. And these are some of the aspects of humanized work. We help in building the social engagement. We focus on building esteem of an individual and also help an individual reach a higher level of fulfillment. We have multiple features for these. For examples, we have Nimble Cafe, which is a social platform where teams can connect, collaborate, where they can thank, talk, and celebrate their achievements. They can ask for help. We also have AI assistant and many more features that you see in the slide. All these features would be discussed in the later part of the session by Mano. So finally, a look at some of our customers, ranging from small teams to large organizations with tens of thousands of users. We have extensive experience working with various organizational cultures and structures to deliver successful project outcomes. So with that, let's move on to today's session on getting aligned for people management. I will now hand over to Mano to take us through this critical topic. Welcome, Mano.
Uh, Thank you, Linsa, for setting the context. You'll have to stop sharing so that I can take over with my deck. All right,
Yes.
thank you. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of you. Thank you for joining this session on alignment on people management. What we are basically planning to do today is to talk about some of the challenges which was faced by our customers and how our solution has enabled them to overcome those challenges. Since this is a very short webinar, I would just like to focus on two of the challenges, and these are real-time challenges which has been brought to our attention by our customers. So the first one is all related about how do I ensure people are optimally allocated and utilized in projects. Now, this specific customer was scaling up its project operations. It's a customer that operates in the system engineering workspace, so hence skills and reskilling resources, training resources, hiring new resources will have a longer lead time. And one way they found that they will be able to manage the surge in workload is by effectively utilizing resources across projects. And this would mean multiple important aspects, which we will very shortly cover in our presentation. The second one was a customer. This was a large customer which had offices across the globe with around 500 user base, with around 800 to 1,000 projects running active at any point of time. One of the problems which they noted through their audits is a lot of revenue loss was happening across projects. And this is primarily because the resources were not utilized properly, resources were staying beyond the allocation period, and so on and so forth. And that happened because there was no clear visibility in terms of what was committed to to the customer and what was actually happening on the ground. And we were able to bring in put in some controls within the system, which included workflows, which included identifying what is needed, and which included setting up reports which would identify what was planned and what was the actuals. And as a result of this, within a period of few months, we have been able to show dramatic improvement in revenue loss or leakage across the projects. Now, both of these challenges were met by managing people in a much optimized and in a much better manner. And how we were able to do that. Now, when it comes to people management, we all talk about using people effectively, using people's training people with the right kind of skills, and then using that skilled resource effectively. So that is an important aspect, and especially when your project operations are surging, or when the number of engagements that you're getting involved with is increasing. It is very important. It's of paramount importance to have a system in place that will help you to track and manage how resources are utilized and improve it further. But the second aspect of people alignment is about creating a positive environment for people to work. And that is very important. If a positive environment is not there, if resources are unnecessarily getting burned out, if resources are getting overloaded with work, and typically what we have seen is it is few resources who get burdened with additional work. If that is something that is happening, it will bring down the morale of an individual, and that can have an adverse impact on the team, and it can have an adverse impact on the outcome of the projects or engagements that you're involved with. So how can you bring in a positive environment? Yes, you can do that through trainings, you can do that through various other initiatives and programs that run within the organization. But what if it can be established through a system which the team is working on, the core work management platform? What if that platform has an ability to create a positive work environment to a great sense? Then definitely that is going to be useful. So we will, in the next 30 minutes or so, we will quickly look at these two aspects and we will see how the nimble enterprise solution is capable of addressing these challenges. Now, coming to utilizing people effectively, and efficiently, it's all about ensuring that the skills are captured, the resources are reskilled, and making sure that you're able to track effectively the availability of resources. You're able to understand the demand from projects, and then you're able to match people with regard to what the project requires from an availability perspective and from a skill perspective. And if you can do this at a large scale across projects, it will definitely bring in a system where you will be able to manage people effectively. So let me quickly take you through few aspects of how the nimble enterprise application will help you to achieve that goal. So let me just log in very quickly as a uh, a resource manager, and we will quickly navigate to the resource management module. So what you'll be able to see that in the Nimble platform, we provide an ability where you will be able to set up your master data for skills across multiple dimensions. So you can define the typical skills that is applicable for the organization, that is available within the organization, and then you will be able to categorize the skills across multiple dimensions, and you will be able to group the skills across multiple dimensions. So basically, what we are saying is the first step is to set up your skill master data. You can start with what you have and over a period of time improve on it. Once you have the skill master data in place, the next master data that needs to be defined is the various roles or personas that is applicable for your organization. Now, these do have multiple aspects associated with it, one of which is based on a role, you will be able to assign access privileges, you will be able to control what can be seen, what can be done, and so on and so forth. But role definition is something that is important. Now, once you have the master data of roles and skills in place, then you are able to bring in your team members or your resources to the Nimble Enterprise platform. And for each of these resources, you will be able to tag them to a role, which basically says what is their responsibility as far as project execution, or as far as various functionalities they have within the organization. And then you will also be able to map a resource to the skills that he possesses. So you will be able to capture his skills, you will be able to rate the skills based on proficiency level, you'll be able to capture his area of interest. Now this will basically be will help the organization to provide training to such resources so that this skill can then be further enhanced and used within the organization. You'll be able to track the various certifications they have and the various projects they have been part of. So all data with regard to a resource from his skill, from his work perspective, from his interest perspective, all of that is available within the Nimble Enterprise platform. Now, how do we use this information? Now, once this data has been captured, if you just look at the slide which I just presented before, it is important to understand what the project requires. And it is also important to ensure that when you are allocating resources to a project, you're going to allocate them based on what the project requires from a skill perspective, from a timeline perspective, from an availability perspective. So to take you through that, let me take you to a project. So I have just logged in as a project manager here. And one of the capability we provide is at a project level, the project stakeholders will be able to specify the skills that are required for the project. And you will also be able to specify from which time period that specific skill is required. So if you look at the records over here, you're able to see the various combination of skills that has been requested by the project stakeholders. Let's look at the last one over here. So you see that we need a resource who is good in React and SQL, and then you will be able to see the quantity, the date, the percentage allocation. So all information that is required for for performing certain tasks and activities in terms of the resources who are required and the skills that is required, you will be able to raise a requisition for it. Once the requisition has been raised, it goes through an approval process, and it can go to the central resource management team, or it can go to the PMO team, or any other stakeholder who is responsible for looking at these requests and then assigning the right resources to fulfill those requests. Now, when I come to the resource manager module, we have a team allocation of functionality over here, which will basically show to the stakeholder the various projects which has raised a resource request. And there are indicators provided over here which shows that whether the timeline for processing it has exceeded, whether you're within the timeline. So you have the red, amber, green indicators showing over here. And then if you choose a particular project, you will see all the open requisitions from the project, and then you can see the further details. And then what we provide is we provide an ability wherein if you know a specific resource who can fulfill this requirement, you can directly allocate him to the project. But if you're unsure, like the example which I gave you before, where you have an organization with 5,000 people, it's not possible for you to know all of them. So if you're unsure, then you can perform a search operation. The search operation will look into the details which you have specified. It will identify resources who meet that criteria. And it also gives you a rating. If it is 10 out of 10, it means that it is a perfect fit. If it is a score lower than 10, which it would mean that certain details are not being fulfilled by this resource, but you at least get to see who is the nearest fit. Now, if you look at the screen, there are certain details that is being provided. It shows you the available hours and allocated hours. So it basically means that the first four resources are not allocated to any projects. But if you look at Haruki, you will see that he is available only for 656 hours, as in a particular project he's already allocated. And if you insist that you need this specific resource for the project, you will be able to if you scroll, you will be able to see from which time period they are available for allocations into the project. So all this information in terms of skills, in terms of availability, we also provide an option where you can expand. Suppose you don't get a right mix of resources, you can further expand the scope of your search by saying that, okay, let me also look at Scrum Masters or a project manager who has that specific skill and who can be allocated to the project, or I know that it is a database skill. Let me look at some other database which is closer to MySQL, so that with a minimum training, I will be able to scale up the resource for the project. So all information that is associated with effectively identifying resources and getting them allocated to the project is available within Nimble. And it can be used by the relevant stakeholders to make sure that they get allocated to the project. This is how we have been able to help our customers to improve and optimize the utilization of resources within an organization. Now, we do provide certain views. So we provide views where you can look at the utilization of resources. You can look at on the basis of roles. You can look at it on the basis of on the basis of skills. You can choose the date range. So let me just say that, okay, I want to see from till the end of July, and then uh, uh, and just go and apply this filter. So you will be able to see the team members. You will be able to see team members who are 100% allocated, who are over allocated, who have some capacity available. And if a particular resource is over allocated, you will be able to see on which projects they're working. So all this information from a perspective of utilization is available. This can be used by even portfolio managers when they are prioritizing and approving their demand. They will be able to identify the resources who needs to work on a project. We also provide a demand versus capacity view, wherein you can choose a particular role, you can choose a particular timeline. So here, let me just look at this specific timeline. And then this report will give you an insight in terms of, do I have people to work on the various demands and projects that are going to be taken into the organization? And if I don't have, if I have people, that's fine. If I don't have people, do I need to hire them? and when I need to hire them. So this information is again being provided from the demand and capacity related report that we provide in the system. So just to summarize what we have just covered, we have seen how we will be able to improve the utilization of resources, and we have also seen how these challenges were getting addressed. One is through ensuring that resources with the right skill is allocated to the project for the duration that is required by the project, and also to ensure that once the duration of the assignment or allocation is over, the resource will be released from the project so that he can be taken up for other projects. He just not continue to stay in the project and contribute to revenue loss. Now, in the second case, one more benefit we have been able to give to the customer is you have been able to see what is planned in terms of allocations for a project and what is actuals in terms of allocations for a project. And once the allocation is over, you have been able to release the resource, which who then gets pulled into another project. But there were cases where the resource does not get released from the project, which means that when you do a new search, you are not able to find skilled resources who are available, and that results in unnecessarily hiring resources to the organization. So that, to a certain extent, has also been avoided, and that has contributed to the top line of the organization. I'll just pause now for a minute because I have covered the first aspect of on how Nimble can help you improve the utilization of resources effectively. I'll just pause for a minute to see if there are any questions. I'll be happy to take probably one or two questions, and then we can quickly move on to the most interesting aspect of today's presentation, wherein how I will be able to improve uh, the alignment capability of my resources by creating a positive ecosystem through a system like ours. Any questions?
Yes, Mano. We do have few questions.
Yeah.
So the first question is, can we set up people by teams that they belong to instead of just the project teams? For example, marketing, HR, or IT.
So that's a good question. And the answer to that is yes. So, both at an organization level and at a project level, you will be able to create teams. And within each team, you will be able to assign team members and make them part of that team. There are In our subsequent demos, we will be able to show the benefits of having teams within our system and what are the various activities that you will be able to track by having teams either at an organization level or a project level. But to answer your question, yes, it is. It just need not be project. You will also have the ability to set up teams.
All right. So the second question is, can each person define their availability for projects so that they can keep aside time for personal holidays or non-project work?
So that's a good question. And the answer to that is yes. Now, in the Nimble Enterprise platform, we have calendars at various levels. We have organization calendar that will basically govern the activities in the project. And we also have a user level, a personal calendar. Now, in the personal calendar, a user can go define their working pattern. Something like every alternate days, I want to spend 1 hour in reading and self learning or preparing for some certification course. So you will be able to define those working pattern in our application, and you will also be able to define the holidays, the current and the upcoming holidays within the system. Now, once you have done this, this does get into the projects where the resource is working, and we do provide provision where it is visible to the respective managers, and they will be able to make sure that during that period of time, work or task is not being assigned to the resources. So to answer your question, yes, uh, team level or resource level calendars can be set within the Nimble Enterprise plan.
All right.
All right.
That's it for now then.
Yeah. So we will just move forward in interest of time. So we are looking at the next part of the presentation, which is creating a positive environment for teams to work. It is basically around the concept of having a people-centered approach to work. And can the people-centered approach to work be provisioned by the work management system which the teams are using? Now, there are multiple aspects over here. I've just listed few of them, and as time permits, we will quickly take a look at these. So the first one is, can the system provide a capability where you can recognize, appreciate, and celebrate team success? Can the system provide guidance to the team members at the point of their task or work execution? If they are having some doubts, if they need some external help on certain aspects, can the system facilitate that? Can you leverage information based on what has happened in the organization and use that information in the current scope of work? And can you have a built-in a higher sense of ownership? So these are some of the key aspects that will basically help you ensure that you have a people-centered approach to work. And when you have a people-centered approach to work, and if that is getting promoted through the work management software that is being used, then you're creating a positive work environment through the system itself. So let me take you through some of these important aspects. The first one being, the Nimble Enterprise Platform provides a capability wherein you will be able to thank your team members for the good work which they have done. You will be able to appreciate it so that it is visible to all the team members within your team, or to all team members within your organization. And you will also be able to celebrate it along with the team members. So let me just give you an example. There is an important release which you have to make to an important customer of yours, and at the last minute you have come across certain technical glitches, and then here there is Mr. Oliver who worked very hard and smartly and made sure that the glitch is overcome, and you have been able to make that release on time to the customer. Now, let's assume in this hybrid work environment where people are operating out of their homes, out of different geographical locations. Let's assume Oliver was working from his home, and he did this good job. And what will happen if you appreciate it, if you recognize it, if you appreciate it, and celebrate it along with Oliver, and everyone in his team gets to see it? What if the entire team which he's part of is also getting applauded as a result of the good work which the team has done? Now, this is something that gets facilitated within the Nimble Enterprise system. And we have seen that team members just log into the application and go to the team or the project workspace and see the on-time appreciations which they have received, or which anyone from their team has received. Now, apart from this, what the Nimble system also does, there is a built-in algorithm which we have designed and which we have built into the system, wherein it will look at an individual from a perspective of how collaborative is he vis-a-vis the various work that has been assigned to him, how he has appreciated the good work which he or she has appreciated the good work which the other team members have done, and how much of appreciation he has received. So we look into all these factors, and then we assign badges to the resources. So we have a bronze badge, the next level is a silver badge, and the next level is a gold badge. So this gets stuck in the system wherever the resource name is being projected. It could be in the team member list, it could be in the workboard, it could be against the task that he's working on. It just gets reflected, and it is made visible to the entire team that he or she is a positive contributor. Now, this we have seen makes work interesting. It improves the motivation level of employees, and as a result of that, it has helped team members to be more productive. Now, this is something that is happening within the work management system that you're working on. The next important aspect, again, let me just quickly take you through some of these important pointers, is visibility. It is all associated with visibility. Now, this is a team board. There are multiple team members involved in this board, and there are different types of work they are engaged that has been assigned to them, and they are engaged with. You're able to see that, okay, there is an item which Jessica is responsible for she's not able to progress her work on it, and hence it has been blocked. So the whole team members who are part of the team gets to see the work which has where a particular resource has been stuck. Now this will create an environment where you will all be able to collaborate, work with Jessica, and help her to get out of this state so that work can flow smoothly within the team. So the ability of visualizing and ability of identifying bottlenecks and the ability of teams to get connected, come together, and help to remove that bottleneck is an important aspect as far as people-centered approach is concerned. Now, apart from this, we also do provide ability wherein, like, say, for example, let's just look at some of the work items over here. Let me take you to one specific work item. Uh, oh, okay, let's look at this particular work item. Now, here you will see that it is a task that has been assigned to, again, Jessica over here, and there are three important metrics that needs to be developed as part of this task. And one of them is budget variance. Now, I have no clue about, or Jessica has no clue about what budget variance is all about. Now, there are two ways in which she can seek help. The first one is within the application, we provide a collaborative workspace where she can collaborate with experts within her team or experts outside her team within the organization who has worked on something similar of this type of work, and get their inputs, and that input can give her a guidance on how to go ahead with that task. So that is one thing that can be done within the system. The second one is the nimble system provides an ability where you have a coach that has been embedded into this system, and you can ask a question to the coach, like, say, for example, how do I compute budget variance? And the coach will provide you a response on what are the various factors that needs to be considered to compute that specific metric. And then you can take it further steps, saying that, okay, once I have implemented that metric, how do I test it, or how do I define the acceptance criteria? And again, the coach can provide a guidance to the team. So the ability of the work management software to provide guidance to team members as they are working on the task, and these if these guidance can help the team member to overcome the bottlenecks, it basically creates a positive environment. And like I just mentioned to you before, they can go to the coach that is which is an AI enabled coach, Gen AI enabled coach, which we provide within the application, or they can collaborate with experts within their team or outside the team, and basically start working on that particular aspect. Now, further, as a resource, when I'm working on this task, yes, there is a guidance that is being provided to you. But let us assume that this is an organization like one of my customers, which has 5,000 team members, and wherein 800 to 1,000 projects are running for different customers for different types of engagement. What if one of those projects has done something similar to this? Or what if one of the teams in the past has worked on something similar to this? So we provide an assistant over here, wherein when it identifies something similar, it will just glow as you see here. And then when you click on it, it will show you where it has found similarity. Based on the description, it has found a similarity with this user story, which is 54% similar. And then what you can do is you will be able to see all the similar items along with the similarity score. You can click on that work item, you can look at its description, you can look at the documents that were used, you can look at the code if the access is being provisioned to you, the code that was used, and all the data that is associated with that work item. You can look at it, take learnings from there, and then bring it to bring it to that specific task that you're working on. So it basically means that the system is providing an ecosystem where you have multiple channels where in which you can seek assistance, and it can be your AI, or it can be your team or experts within the organization, or it can be you can leverage the information that is there in the application based on the various projects that has been executed. Now, one of the important aspects that we talked about is alignment. Now, typically in a project or in a team board, you are doing work for your customers, which is the regular work, regular inflow of work, which is definitely interesting and challenging. But at the same time, there could be some initiatives that are running within your organization, and you may be doing some work that are associated with those initiatives. So we provide an ability within our application wherein you will be able to clearly identify some of these work initiatives that has been assigned to you, and you will be able to contribute effectively to it. Now, how do I do that? Is there are multiple ways to do that, but let me just take you through one of. So I can just go and very easily identify what are the various strategic initiative related task that has been assigned to me. So let me just go and set up a filter for that. So I'll just go over here. So these are the tasks that are mapped or aligned to some of the initiative that is being run at the organization level. So it basically gives a sense of ownership and a sense of contentment to users to realize that they are contributing to a larger cause, uh, uh, which will benefit the organization. And at any point of time, the team member can click on that specific work item. They'll be able to see what they need to do. And they will also be able to gain visibility in terms of which is that organization initiative and which is the channel to which I'm contributing. So alignment and visibility to some of the core initiatives that is being executed within the organization is something which we promote to our application. This makes the user empowered. They get a sense of that they are important because they're contributing to something which is very significant to the organization. And at the same time, it also brings in a culture of improved ownership across various tasks and activities that is being performed by that specific team. So if you basically look at the various tasks that you have here, you're able to see very clearly who is the owner who's responsible for that particular activity. It could be a regular project or a strategic initiative, and you will also be able, as a result of it, also be able to improve your sense of accountability to the various tasks and activities that is being performed within that project and within that ecosystem. So these are some interesting capabilities which we provide in. And finally, it is all not just about work. You may want to discuss something that is not related to your work at all. So we provide a channel where in which you will be able to, like say, for example, this is something which has been posted by Jessica. We are planning to provide scholarship to 5 students. This is a social cause, nothing related to work. You can start a discussion, people can contribute, you can track the comments. So it just creates an environment where it is just not work, but it is also something meaningful that you are able to contribute to as far as your work environment and work culture is concerned. So with that, I'll end my presentation, but let me just uh, go through some of these key aspects. We looked at how recognition and appreciation will, improve teams, how guidance will help teams to work better and deliver smarter, how information will basically help you to, make meaningful decisions as far as the current work is concerned, how a higher sense of ownership and accountability can be brought in through a system like ours, how alignment and transparency can help teams to be motivated. And we looked at having a much leaner method for execution. It is a leaner method which is visual in nature, where you're able to see how work is flowing, what are the bottlenecks, where work is getting stuck, and thus get connected with your team members and improve all such improve on the way in which you're working. Now, one point that I'll just quickly look into is the concept of intelligent assistant. So you log into the application, you can go to the assistant and you can ask the assistant, do I have cards that require immediate attention? So there may be 10, 15 line items in your queue, but if the system can say that, okay, focus on these 4 items because they are very critical, and the criticality is getting determined based on due date, based on priority, and various other aspects. Now, if the system can provide such an assistant, again, it will help the teams to get well connected to the work which are of critical priority and make sure that it will get delivered and it will contribute towards the success of the project outcome. So that's it from me, Linsa. If there are any further questions, I know that we are almost there on top of the hour. But if there are any specific questions that you would want me to take, we have
Mhm.
a couple of minutes. I will take them. Else we can close the session.
Sure. So we have a few questions. The first question is, how do I find out on a daily basis what work should I focus on for that day?
Yeah.
So does the system consolidate all my work in a single view?
Yes, the system. So we have this assistant which will look at all the. So let me just quickly spend a minute over here. So you have a Nimble Cafe, which is an interface which helps you to get connected to your work. There are some dashboards with metrics that is provided over here, which gives you an indication in terms of the task that has missed the deadline, that is about to miss the deadline, and then you can expand and see the details of the task, and then you have a list of all activities which you and your team is involved in. You will be able to collaborate on these activities from this interface itself. Now, since you have a lot of tasks on your board, on your queue, then we provide this assistant, which I just explained to you now, wherein you can ask questions, and it will help you prioritize all the key activities that you need to focus on in one single integrated page.
That's
Okay.
amazing. Yeah. So two more questions. So the second last question is, as an organization leader, how can I quickly check if all my teams are fruitfully occupied?
Yeah. So if you recall, we looked at the utilization view. That is one of the reports that we provide in the application. So as a resource manager, you can basically or as a stakeholder who has access to that specific view, you can go to the utilization view. You can generate the view on the basis of persona. You can generate the view on the basis of skills. You can choose your date range, and then just fire the report. It will give you the utilization score, and it will also show you resources who are fully available, not fully available, and it will also show you resources if they are 100% allocated, when they are likely to be free, so that you will be able to get them planned for a new initiative or a project or a program that you are planning. So to answer your question, yes, this view will basically help you understand how well your resources are being utilized.
All right. So the last question for the session, how do you manage resource conflicts when multiple projects have overlapping deadlines?
So the view which I showed you before, like say for example, if a resource is over allocated, you can basically drill down and you will be able to see on which all projects that resource is working on. Or let me give you another scenario. You have a resource, there are two demands which has been approved, and it is important that you intake those demands as project immediately because they are important for a very critical customer of yours, and you have one resource that is available to work on those two tasks that are required in that particular project. So what the system will do is the system will show you who is available, and if you have a shortfall, the system allows you to partially allocate resources. So you can allocate the resource 50% to project one and 50% to project two, and as and when the next set of resources are getting released from the current projects, you will then be able to allocate them to the projects meaningfully. So that is how we basically ensure that we provide you visibility on resource conflicts, and we help you manage them by making sure that you optimize the allocation percentage of resources within those projects.
All right. So we'll conclude here then. Thank you all for the questions. I'm going to share my screen. So Manu, if you can, yes,
Yes.
thank you. All right. So as you can see our contact information here. If you're interested in exploring our tools, or if you simply want to learn on the things that we do, we would love to connect with you all. Additionally, if you have any topics you would like to suggest for our upcoming weekly episodes, we would appreciate your input. With that, Mano, thank you so much for this insightful session. And thank you everyone for joining in. Take care and good night. Thank you.
Thank you.